Well, good day. Today we're going to learn some word skills, some tab skills in Word. We're going to be using the tab key today. Today we'll learn about default tabs, left tabs, right tabs, center tabs, decimal tabs, and leader tabs. The first thing I want to talk about is default tabs. Default is a computer word that means the original settings. These are the settings that came from the factory. Just like the top margin is set to 1 inch, you don't have to set the top margin to 1 inch. It's already set to 1 inch. It's set to 1 inch by default. And there are default tabs that are set automatically. When you're at the left margin and you press the tab key just once, you'll jump out a half an inch. And if you press the tab key again, you'll jump out another half an inch, and then another half an inch. And every time you press the tab key, you'll jump out another half an inch. That's because the default tab stops exist at every 1/2 inch. Now you can use the default tab stops if you want to, or you can change the default tab stops. You say, I don't want to have a tab every single half inch. Maybe you want to set a tab here at 2.5 inches. That way when you press the tab key just once, it'll jump out to 2.5 inches. If you press it again, the defaults will continue after the one you set in. So the first tab you set was 2.5, and then the defaults will take over from there. Let's set a left tab. You can set a left tab at, for instance, 2.5 inches. That way, after you type the word president, you tab it just once. It'll jump out to 2.5 inches, and then you can type maybe Jim Smalley. Press enter, and then vice president, and tab it just once. It'll jump all the way out to 2.5 inches, and all these words will line up on the left. Now the right hand side is not lined up. The left hand side is lined up because I used a left tab. Sort of looks like an L, doesn't it? Left tab lines things up on the left. If you want to have things lined up on the right, you could use a right tab. Sort of looks like a backwards L, doesn't it? Here I set a right tab at 3.5 inches. I type president and I tab it over. It goes to 3.5. I type Jim Smalley, enter, vice president, tab it over. LaQuisha Banks used to be a student of mine. And here they all are lined up on the right. Now when you set up a right tab, the left hand side will not be lined up. Just the right hand side will be lined up. You can also set a center tab. Sort of looks like an upside down T, doesn't it? Here I set a center tab at a little bit less than 2.5 inches, and things are lined up in the center. They're not lined up on the right or on the left, they're lined up on the center. Do you think you have to put a center tab in the center of the page? Oh no, you can put a center tab wherever you want. Hey, look at this little backwards L underneath this 5, and things are lined up on the right. This little backwards L, that's a right tab. Somebody put a right tab in there, and the left hand side is not lined up, but the right hand side is lined up. That was interesting. Here's decimal tab. Decimal tab looks like an upside down T as well. It's got a little period on it to tell you this is for a decimal tab. It lines things up on the decimal point. For instance, I set one here a little bit less than 3, and the left-hand side of the numbers are not lined up, and the right-hand side of the numbers are not straight. It's the decimal point that's all lined up. I used a decimal tab. The last one is a leader tab. Now, any of those 4 other tabs could be a leader tab. The left tab, right tab, center tab, even decimal tab, they could also be leader tabs. Leaders are these little dots that are supposed to lead your eyes across the page. Now it looks like you maybe should just type a bunch of periods, but you do not type a bunch of periods. You don't type these dots at all. The computer's going to put them in for you by choosing a leader tab. I'll show you how it works. We're going to go look at this tab dialog box, and the first thing we want to do is we don't want to touch this default tab stops. We're not going to touch this at all. The defaults are every half inch, and that's just fine with us. We're not changing this side. We're only going to change this left hand side. So for instance, we might put in a tab stop at 6.5 inches. That is 6.5 inches away from the left margin. So you have to type in some sort of number up there. Then they're going to want to know, when I get out to 6.5, do you want things to line up on the left, or do you want things to line up on the center or the right, or do you want them to line up on the decimal? And you say, well, maybe I want them to line up on the left. Or maybe when I get out to 6.5, I want things to line up on the right when I get out there. Also, you can say, do you want any leaders along the way? Do you want dots along the way to 6.5? Do you want hyphens or underscores? You could use any of those, but we're going to choose choice number 2, dots, in our class. Once you set the position and the alignment and the leader, you're ready to do set. Always click set. And after you get all your tabs set up, we'll say OK at the very end. I'll show you an example of how to do that. Here we're going to set up a tab at 6.5. It's going to be a right tab. It's going to be this flight right over here. They're going to line up on the right. The left-hand side is not lined up. The right-hand side is lined up. And we're going to have dots along the way. 6.5, right, and dots. So let's go look at it. It's going to look like this. You think, well, wait a minute. Where's the ruler? Where's the 1 inch? Where's the 1/2? Where's the 2? Where's the 2.5? I can't even see the ruler. So the ruler's under View. So you should click on View. And under View, you can say, hey, I want to see the ruler. Give it a click, and oh, there it is. There's the ruler. Now it's time to put in tab stops. Tab stops are not on View. Tab stops are under Home. So you click on Home, and you think, okay, which button is for tab stops? I can't find tabs anywhere because there's no button for it. Under the paragraph group, there's the little Windows dialog box drop down, and we're going to give this a little click. And sure enough, oh, hey, look at there, I found it. It's tabs. It says tabs right there. So I'll do tabs, and it says, oh, hey, I've seen this before. Am I going to touch this default tab stops? No. I'm going to go over here. And I think 6.5 is what I chose, 6.5. And you might think, why did he choose 6.5? Well, the margins start right here. This is out on the margin. You can't type over here. But the margin starts here, and here's 1 inch, and here's 2 inches away from the margin, 3 inches away from the margin, 4 inches, 5, 6 inches, 7 inches is in this margin. 7 inches is too far. So the paper is going to stop between 6 and 7. Hey, I think that's 6.5. So when I put it in at 6.5, it's going to end up way over here on the right-hand side of the page. 6.5 is what I'm going to choose. I want things to line up on the right when I get there, and I want dots along the way. I'll choose number 2, and then I'll set it in. Now for this simple example, I'm not going to put in a second tab. I'm just going to choose one. I'm all done. I'll say OK. So then I'll type president, and now I'm going to press the tab key just once. Hey, look at that. I'll put Jim. I think Jim was right. Enter. Vice President. Tab it over, and that was LaQuisha. Enter, and then there was a secretary, tab it over just once. I forgot who the secretary is. I'll just put Earl. Treasurer, tab it over. Maybe it's Elizabeth. I don't know who it was. Elizabeth. Something like that. Hey, things are lined up on the right, and there's this little tiny backwards L on the ruler. That's the right tab. That's the one I set, the right tab. I'm going to enter, and I'm going to get rid of those tabs. I could just take this little thing and I can just drag it right off of the ruler and then let go. Hey, the tab's not there anymore. If I press the tab key, it'll just jump half inch, half inch, half inch, half inch. So I don't want to do that. I'll backspace that. Hey, let's do another example. Let's look at this one. We're going to set a tab on the right-hand side and make things line up on the right. But I'm also going to set a center tab. It's going to line things up in the center. Now, if all the way to the edge is 6.5, halfway of 6.5 is probably 3.25. 3.25 is halfway of 6.5. It says when you get to 3.25, do you want dots along the way? Yes, I do want dots along the way. I want it to be centered. I'm going to do 3.5, center, and dots. Then I'm going to set another one. At 6.5, do you want things to line up in the center? Oh, no. Over here, I want things to line up on the right. And do you want dots along the way to get to 6.5? Yes, I do want dots along the way. So I'm going to set up this one. First thing you do is got to put in your tab stops. So I'll go to this thing and I'll say tabs. And if their old one is still there, you're going to have to clear your old one. But I remember I drug it off the ruler, and now it's gone. I'm going to set one at 3.25. I'm going to say when I get out to 3.25, I want it to be centered, and I want dots along the way, and I'll set. But I want another one, so I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to type 6.5. What do you want to do at 6.5? At 6.5, I want things to line up on the right. Do you want dots along the way up to 6.5? Yes, I do. I will do set and then OK, and I'm ready to go. I think the first guy was Jim, and I'll tab, and he went to Costa Rica. Tab, and he's in room 54, I remember. The next one was it Melinda or something like that? Tab it over. I forgot where she went. Maybe she went to United States. Tab it over. Maybe she's in room 8. Enter. I forgot the other people's names. Maybe it's Opal. Was that right? and she's maybe going to Belize, maybe. I don't know where she's going. Tab it over, maybe she's in room 101. Let's do one more. Esther, maybe. She's going to China. Tab it over, and she's in room 3. So you see how things have lined up in the center, things have lined up on the right, and I chose dots along the way. Now sometimes you'll make a mistake and you'll think, oh my gosh, I don't think that looks very good. What you want to do is you can edit it, you can change it. Highlight all the ones you want to change, all of them. And, oh, well, look at this upside down T up here. What do you think this upside down T is? Hey, that's my center tab. I can get on this little center tab and I can carefully scoot it over, scoot it over, scoot it over, and let go. Hey, look at that. They all changed. I'll scoot it over a little more, scoot it over, scoot it over, scoot it over. I can grab my right tab and don't pull it off. Ooh, don't pull it off. Just carefully scoot it over. Don't go too high. Don't go too low. Just right about there and let go. Hey, look at that. That looks pretty good. What do you think about that? Hey, that's all there is to it.